grab the pad, I dated it. Let's see how this looks. Turn it that way more. Okay, there's just no way to get the bathroom out of there, huh? But what if it was over here and facing that way? Would it? Let's try that. You know, it's just a dressing area with a sink, but still, it's kind of weird. How's it look?
Good.
Oops, sorry. Oh, now I kicked it, so it's bad.
You keep putting it back in the shop.
The bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, will I be in it that way too?
Yeah, you're center frame right now.
Okay. That'll be good then. Okay. Anybody in yet?
Yeah.
Who's there?
Meg, Devin, Conlon, and Nick.
Hello. Be with you in a minute. Hang on. Chillax to the jams. Trying to be hip. I'm really an old lady just trying to be hip. Now I know why I couldn't find my popular music as mass communication notes for this week, because I put them in the radio broadcast file. Duh. Well, at least I know where to look for them now. Once I get Moodle open, we'll get started officially. Anybody else come in yet?
Eli.
Eli W?
Just says Eli.
It just says Eli. Alright. Let me get rid of the jams for now. Bye, jams. Okay, and I'm gonna get to attendance here, and we'll get started. I hope you guys are feeling a little bit hopeful today and finding something in your universe to feel happy about. It's important when there are bad things going around that you look around for good. Interesting, during the 9/11 attack, it was pretty horrifying for everybody who was old enough to understand what was going on back then. And I was living in Arizona, and my kids were going to college and stuff back in New York, and so it took a while for me to be able to track them down. I wasn't worried about Jake because he was at the University of Buffalo, but Erin was going to Queens, City University of New York at Queens College, and working, and she transferred trains under the World Trade Center at that time. So couldn't get in touch with her. I was pretty scared, and finally did, and we were on the phone, and she was crying and said, you're always so positive. You can't tell me something good is happening amongst all of this. You can't convince me of it. And I was like, Erin, it's there. Just, look for the helpers. Look for the people who are helping others. That's where the good is, because difficult times like this bring out good stuff in people. It shows us kind of what we're made of. And I'm not saying that's why it happens, but it's an opportunity to grow as a person, and so everything is how you look at it, right? How you spend your time right now is up to you, and what you do with the time that's sort of been usurped and taken away from you is also up to you. Today is my grandson Hudson's 8th birthday, everybody. 8 years old today. He was expecting a WrestleMania birthday party this year. That's what he had asked for. And obviously his friends can't do that. But Erin is having a Zoom Meet birthday party for him. She sent cupcakes and things to his friends, and his friends' moms have been helping. And so this afternoon he's going to have his birthday party anyway on Zoom, virtually with his friends. So you can make anything work is all I'm saying. If my 8-year-old grandson can make this work, and he's used to being all day long on the go. From the moment he goes to school until the end of the day when he goes to bed, he's either in school or he is a student at the Alvin Ailey School of Dance in Manhattan, which is pretty highfalutin thing and very demanding, or he's playing sports, doing different things like that and taking other classes. So he's used to going all the time, never stopping. My daughter's family never stops. They just don't. My granddaughter Ruby is a dancer also, and dances and goes to school at the School for the New York City Ballet, the School of American Ballet it's called. And so she's never off, and so now they're having to get used to being off and not doing things, and you all can too. I think you're probably finding your way by now and setting a groove for yourself, figuring out what's safe to do and what isn't. Heard Chima in his broadcast yesterday, his stream is now going, talking about taking a bike ride and how therapeutic that felt for him. Eli too, right? All of you have come up with devices and things that you could do to sort of make yourselves feel productive and happy. So look for the happy. There's bad around, but just keep looking for the happy and you'll find it. That's all. All right. We're going to take attendance, so hang on, let me open it first, and then we will actually take it. How does that sound? Like a plan, people? It does, right? Update, my son is feeling better, which is probably explaining my better mood, but boy, that guy was sick for 2 weeks. It was scary, as big and strong as my son is, and I'm not saying that to brag. He's 6'2" and like 220 pounds of muscle. He's played football his whole life, even for the fire department, and he's a fireman. He has to lift heavy things. He's a big guy anyway. And healthy usually, but this kicked his butt. We were scared for him. My Aunt Linda's doing better, which is really a miracle, and so far things are not worse at my sister's group home, so that's a miracle too, and I'm having hope today. I'm being hopeful today, so let's all be hopeful. All right, let's take attendance. Who's here? Say me and hello.
Meg,
Hey, Meg.
Devin,
Hey, Devin.
Conlon,
Hello, Conlon.
Nick,
Nick, how's it going?
Eli W.
Hello, Eli. All right, so Elijah Hodges should be here soon, I would imagine. A couple other people might wander in, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish up attendance right now and save it, but if it changes, then I'll just readjust that. Chima's not here yet?
Nope.
No, Chima? Nick is here. Will is not. Alright. And Eli W is here. Alright. So, for those of you who have already had show 1 in the can, show 2 is going to be due this weekend. So, Eli W is a little bit ahead of the game right now. You've got your second show for online in, and so you could relax a little bit unless you just want to make another playlist. Option for you guys is you could start another playlist yourselves. You just go to where the playlist thing is, you click on that tab, you go to the top where there's a bar, you can type in, and next to it says add playlist, type in Eli W2 or what is it, Variety Hit Show 2. So you could have 2 playlists running if you want to. It's up to you. But that's a possibility. Meg has been really doing a great job helping people who are having a hard time with Live 365, uploading, making voice tracks, those kinds of things. So thank you, Megan. Really appreciate your work with people. And so she is available to help you guys. She's willing to talk on the phone or do a video chat and kind of walk you through stuff that maybe you don't get or you're having a hard time with. But more people did get success thanks to Meg and some perseverance and have their first shows up. So I want to just say that, let me just quick look at something here. But I've put grades in for everybody who has a show in right now. And those of you who have just submitted your first show, you need to get to work now on your second show. You could do exactly what I just told Eli W to do. You can go to the playlist section of Live 365 and create a second playlist that you can add things to. And then when you're ready for me to review it, I can review it, and then we can take down playlist number 1 and put playlist number 2 up. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Okay, good. So, just kind of going through everybody really quick. Chima's show came out well and did a good job. Lots of good banter and ideas about organization and things to do with your time and trying new things, and don't waste your time right now. That was good. Devin's show was good too. Good banter, good construction. Devin, keep it up. Get your second show in. Devin, I just have to say, this is the most attendance you've had in any one of my classes in all the years I've known you. Can I just say that? I say it with a lot of love because I love you, kid. But you're not so great about showing up to class. You do know that. It's a good thing that you're smart. That's why you pass, and you know that. But aside from knowing that, this here online thing, this is your gig, dude. You're like showing up all the time. Just saying. And say hi to Adam while you're at it. So, waiting to see if EJ Hodge comes in. If he does, his show turned out well too, if you get a chance to listen to it. So the broadcast for our station of Everything Live, well, everything you guys recorded, not live, but you recorded, your playlist starts at 10 a.m. every day. So if you want to hop onto Live 365 and listen to different people's playlists. You can look at the scheduler yourselves and see what order, like what time your show might come up, or somebody that you're interested in listening to, their show. And in the meantime, you can copy and paste the Listen Now URL and share it on Twitter and Facebook and WhatsApp and whatever other social media platforms you guys belong to. Let's get some traffic happening. There are some really cool, fun playlists going on here, and you would probably like it. Your friends would probably like it. They'll like hearing you. Megan's show is very solid, good content all the way around. Nick, I loved your content. You are a podcaster, you could tell. You do a good job with your recorded content. Well organized, well thought out. Interesting story about your storied career in finally getting a foothold into college, and I'm glad you like Teal. We like you too. So glad you're here, and also glad that you found some good techniques for organizing your time and organizing your life a little bit. That was good sharing with people right now. That's the kind of content that's very valuable in a time like this, you guys, right? We're uplifting people. Let's do the best we can to uplift people, give pieces of advice, tips on how to spend your time. It's not hard. You don't have to sit there and figure these things out yourself. You have the Google machine. Go on the Google machine and look up things about ways to spend your time when you're stuck indoors during the pandemic. You'll come up with so much content. And don't forget that you could do This Week in History. You could give the horoscope for people. You could add fun kind of things that are entertaining and are going to distract people away from, the stark reality that we're faced with, right? Let's create our own reality. What do you think? I like that idea. Tejan, we still need to talk. If you're in class right now, please email me. And Will, also waiting for your first show to come through, and Conlon as well. So, by the end of today, if you haven't done your first show and submitted it to me, put it together in the playlist, saved it, and then emailed me to say my show's ready for review. If that doesn't happen by 6 p.m. today, I'm going to have to give a 0 for the first week of the online shows. So that's just, there's nothing, we have to move forward. We have to. So then if you do a playlist after that, that's going to be an online show number 2, not 1. 1 will be gone, sailed away. So I'm encouraging you to pull it together and get that done. Also telling you guys, if you have missed the opportunity of doing the Moodle work, you're missing out on some easy grade work. I mean, I don't know what you'd like me to do for you. Can't give you grades for breathing. You're getting attendance for coming to class, and your attendance grade counts in this class, but you have some easy assignments here that don't take a long time and will bump your grades up once you do them. So get involved and get re-engaged. Get back on Moodle right here, week of March 25th through the 31st, when I really put things up in earnest. That's where online show log number 1 goes. And you guys have been, some of you have been good about submitting your show logs and some not. And when not, you get a fail for that, and that accumulates and impacts your grades. So don't think that you don't need to turn in a show log when there's a link here that says, look, online show log number 1. That's where you'd put it. It's not hard to fill it out. It's just your blueprint for your show. It's part of production, and it's part of the assignment. So, you can still submit it and get credit for it. So do that. Why impact your grade negatively when that will take you 15 minutes to do? And then online show number 1, the grades for that show up there in that link. Nothing for you to submit there. But then you have the American DJ, which is basically a video that you should have been watching that I posted for you. And then you're supposed to talk about, what the prompt wants you to talk about. It's your weekly forum assignment, and it gets graded, not just pass, fail. It's a real grade. And then your think response paper from last week, The assignment is being graded as a quiz. If you haven't done that, then you're going to fail the quiz. And as of now, like, I'm taking points off for being late, but you still have a chance to pass it and not get a 0. But you won't after tonight, because now we're 2 weeks away from that assignment. So it needs to be done. You need to, like, focus and just sit down and think, I'm going to do radio broadcast production work for an hour and a half. If you do that, you'll get all this work done, because it's not hard. This is the think response prompt. The role of the DJ or announcer has changed with technology, and then it wants you to talk a little bit about it. The prompt is not difficult. It says, watch this video first, the history of the DJ, 1940s and 50s, and then, so that's, from last week. If you haven't done that, you still have a chance to do that and pull your grade up a little bit. And again, that's up to you. If you don't do it, then your grade suffers, and I guess you just deal with the consequences, right? We're all big people here. So then this week we've got Radio Economics, WKRP in Cincinnati is what I want you to watch, and then that's attached to your forum assignment. So the forum closes at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, so you have to get this. Watching WKRP in Cincinnati should have been done. I'll reopen it if you haven't done it yet. I'll release the time constraints on it, but you guys have to start to get into the groove and the swing of meeting assignments when they're due. Part of online learning, right? It just is. You have to adapt to that. So there's that, and then your show log for show number 2, there's a link for that, and then your online show grade will be there. Eli Williams already got his grade for his second online show, so waiting for the rest of you to do yours. That's it. You've got one forum assignment and getting either your back shows done and your current show, or just getting your current show done. So, and I'm going to ask you guys if you have questions, and while you're maybe typing something or not, I'm going to go ahead and edit the constraints on this so that you guys can, if you haven't participated in it yet, you can. But gotta start getting in the habit of doing this. You gotta go to Moodle and see what the work is and submit this stuff, because it's not difficult and it's gonna bump your grade up. That's why I did it. Anybody have questions? Nope, no questions? Alright, I'm removing the time constraints off of this forum assignment. However, I'm telling you, if you don't do it by Friday, if it's not finished by the end of the week, you're not caught up, you're getting a 0 for that too. I'm more than willing, if you submit something late, to go back and grade it when I'm caught up with the current grading in all my classes. I'll go back over and, but not if it's 2 weeks out. That's just unreasonable. It's not reasonable to expect me to do that, and it's, not you being invested or engaged in the class. So, alright, that's that there. So, again, like I said, current playlists, if you're up to date, they're due by Saturday. Back playlists are due immediately, or you're getting a 0 for it, but by tonight, and then you still have to submit your current playlist by Saturday, either way. So if you do a back show that you've missed, and know that that's great, you'll get your grade for that, but you also still owe what's due by this Saturday, which is the current playlist. Show 1, show 2. We're in the week of show 2 right now. Anybody have questions about that? So anybody that's having a hard time with this, like I said, Megan is here to help. She's accessible by phone and video chat, and John is also able to help you too. He gave his email address before. Can you give it again in case people need to have it? And there is no reason for you to not get this done. Broadcasting is a big part of your grade in this class. It's radio broadcast and production. And we're doing both those things right now. And if you want to get a grade for it and not fail, you got to get it done. All right. Did that. Checking Moodle and grades. All right. So we talked the other day about radio economics and the differences in income streams is what I want to talk about today between commercial and non-commercial radio. Because commercial radio has more flexibility for income source than non-commercial radio does, or non-profit radio. And while the goal of a commercial radio station is to turn a profit, the goal of a public radio station is to serve the community. So we talked about what the expenses are for running a radio station, and they're pretty intense. It's everything you would have with any other business or running an office of some kind, and all of the technology upgrades and the maintenance for the technology that runs the system, and insurances and FCC fees and subscription fees and all of those kinds of things. So we talked about that the other day. So now I want to talk about how that pertains to non-commercial radio. WXTC is non-commercial, but it's also funded by the Board of Trustees of Thiel College. So while we have an underwriting program, John Ginier is our business director, and we have sponsors, most of our 90% of our 99% of our income comes from the college, from a mixture of your student fees and also academic affairs money, because WXTC is two things. It's a student activity that you could do through Student Life. Anybody, any major, doesn't matter who you are, can be involved with WXTC. Heck, our station manager right now, Talia, is an environmental science major, and Bailey is a biology major pre-physical therapy, like nothing to do with media, but they got involved in it as a student activity. So part of the funding for WXTC comes from that, and part of it comes from academic affairs, because WXTC is a learning lab like what you guys do during the semester. Why are you whining? Just because you can? Really? You just know that I'm teaching class and it's time to whine, huh? Well, Tammy is nowhere around. I hate to break it to you. Okay, drink your water then. Ignore me. I don't care. But there's no Tammy, and there's no Lana either. Ha! Ha! You're stuck with just us. Anyway, those are the income sources that come to WXTC. We have a DJing program where some of our more seasoned on-air personalities will go ahead and DJ for a frat party or something in town, or a birthday party, graduation, things like that. And we charge a really nominal fee, especially if you're part of the Thiel community. If you're a fraternity or a sorority, it's like $50. And really, the talent, the DJ who does the party, keeps most of that money. But some of it has to go back to the radio station for wear and tear on the equipment, and use of our profile and things like that. So that's another small source of income. Hi, Bubba. That WXTC has. And when you think about a station like WQED in Pittsburgh or WQLN up in Erie, those are the two Western Pennsylvania NPR-based stations. So WQED carries more BBC and other kinds of American public radio and Public Radio International based programming than they do NPR, because NPR is super expensive. And those other platforms, those other media outlets is what they are. They have really good content too that public radio sort of brands itself with. So they get a lot of international news from the BBC, and they have BBC America and that kind of program. But basically, WQED is a classical music station, and it focuses on the arts in like the fine arts, like galleries and museum activities, and the opera and the symphony and the ballet, and those kinds of things. Is that's the demographic. That's the brand of WQED, and it's the first public radio station in the country. Did you know that? And television station too. Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh in particular, has a lot of those first ofs. They're the first radio station, KDKA down in Pittsburgh, licensed in the United States, and so lots of interesting, cool things happen. Like Mr. Rogers out of WQED, that's his home. So WQED has this specific brand, although they give international news and sort of featured story type programming to an extent for the most part, and they carry a little bit of NPR content. For the most part, they don't, and they carry classical music. WQLN up in Erie, Pennsylvania, carries a lot of NPR content. In the morning, they have Morning Edition. In the evening, they have All Things Considered, which is their evening news magazine show. Topical headline stories plus news magazine type stories. Feature stories about things that are going on currently, and things that are interesting. So WQLN on Saturdays and Sundays also has a huge lineup of NPR type programs that are entertaining. There's, Car Talk, which is fairly hilarious, and Wait, Don't Tell Me, and Mountain Home, which is a bluegrass sort of Appalachian music program, and Thistle and Shamrock, which is an Irish music program. So they have a lot of different NPR style content on the weekend and fun shows that that you listen to. And so those stations are even though like WQED focuses on classical music, and during the week after the NPR news and before the evening NPR news, WQLN also plays classical music. In the evening, Monday through Friday, after the evening news, they don't go back to classical. They play blues and jazz the same way that WXTC does. So we sort of mirror that. We play, when nobody's on the air at WXTC, like right now, our terrestrial studio, we have WQED playing from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then in the evening, we have our own playlist of blues and jazz with our own stingers, liners, legal IDs, identifiers all throughout, right? Some PSAs thrown in for the clock to have like breaks and things like that. So you have an automated, like what we're creating here on Live 365, we have an automated playlist that runs at night that's blues and jazz. And people really like that format. They like it a lot up in Erie. They seem to like it a lot at our station too, although they also like what you guys produce. They think it's interesting. So that's good news, right? Anyway, so as far as funding goes for all of this, it's expensive to carry these things. In the evening, WQLN has community volunteer air hosts, on-air hosts, DJs. They have a jazz show, a blues show, and one guy is a professor at Mercyhurst College. Another person is just like a volunteer from the community, does a blues show. So fun to listen to. And then there's a woman too later in the evening that does a new jazz show, current jazz. The volunteer announcers are how they keep their costs down, and it's a popular enough station that people who are really into this sort of thing and want to volunteer to do it, they're attracted to do it. So That's something that they don't have to spend a lot of money on, but they do. I'm sorry, I swallowed something the wrong way. You feel like in these times, if you blow your nose or you cough a little bit, you have to explain to everybody that you don't have it. You just swallowed something the wrong way, or you have allergies. You have to walk around with a t-shirt that says, I don't have it. Anyway, so the income sources to operate all this stuff, when you think about it, everything that a commercial radio station has to have, so does a non-commercial radio station, non-for-profit, right? Not for profit. So they still have subscriptions for music shows and the news and other kinds of traffic shows. We talked about what those are, traffic shows, on Tuesday. BMI and ASCAP fees, right? They have to pay those things. Sometimes public radio advertises or public television advertises on billboards or on television or things like in newspaper ads and print ads. So banner ads on the internet, they have to pay for their own advertising, promoting their own service and station. They aren't only advertisers, they also require advertising. And then they have insurances that they have to pay, and they have to pay certain talent, and certain staff are not volunteer. The general manager of WQLN, or the president of WQED, who's an alumni of our college, Jim Cunningham, they get paid. So do the chief engineers and people that work every day in the offices, but they do have volunteer staff as well. They have to pay employer contributions, just like the other the commercial stations do, and health insurance. It's a business that employs people. They have to follow equal opportunity employment rules. They have to pay a chief engineer. Usually WQLN and WQED both have their own engineers. They don't contract like we do and smaller stations do. They have to either arrange for IT services, pay their internet access bills like everybody else, and maybe also have somebody on board who's an IT specialist, especially if you think about WQED and how they have TV and radio operating out of the same building. IT services is probably, and a huge office staff, so IT services is probably something completely different there. It is, I'm sure, than it is like your engineering for the broadcast technology. So two different people. If it were one person, they'd be dead. That's a lot of work to do. Equipment maintenance is something that you have to pay for, and upgrading, right? Equipment changes, you have to upgrade it every once in a while, either because the FCC tells you to, like with the digital transmitter translators that we had to buy for all the stations a few years ago. That's an upgrade. Right now, WXTC is having to upgrade all of its computers to 10, and we also have to upgrade our automated music computer, the SCOUT system, because it's not going to work with 10. And so that right there, right, equipment maintenance that you have to pay for. And then state and local taxes and office supplies and rent and mortgage, electricity, phone bills, heating bills, air conditioning, vehicle maintenance, gas for the vehicle, and then promotions and marketing, that falls under advertising. Okay. So, here's the income though, right, that non-commercial radio gets to pull from. There's underwriting, that's a non-commercial commercial. So a commercial on regular commercial radio says, come to Five Guys and Fries this Friday where we're giving you curb service at a 10% discount, but only if you're there between 5 and 7 p.m. and you donate 3 face masks to Meadville Medical Center. Yada, yada, yada. Be there. Don't forget. Be there. Go there. See you at Five Guys Fries, the home of the best Five Guys Fries ever. That's a radio commercial. And then the same company might sponsor or want to run an ad with a non-commercial radio station, and it would sound like, This portion of the broadcast is made possible by our sponsors, including Five Guys and Fries, located on the corner of North Main and Poplar Street in Meadville, Pennsylvania. Five Guys and Fries offers a wide variety of tasty things to choose from. If you're interested in finding out more information about Five Guys and Fries, you can go to, and then they'll give the email address, or call them at yada yada yada. Thanks for your generous donation. So all sponsorships, all commercials on underwriting on a non-commercial radio station is couched as a sponsorship. It's put out that way. But there are other kinds of sponsorships. There are corporate sponsorships and trusts and endowments that people actually in their will leave money to public radio, gifts from foundations, and then memberships. When they have these crazy membership drives that like you just have had enough of because they're interrupting programming all the time to ask you to please donate, become a sustaining member with $10 a month, or a one-time, and then you get this really great travel tote bag and a coffee mug that says the station, and you get some merchandise from the station. Maybe you get a CD or something, but they try to give you gifts for becoming a member. And more public radio stations, non-commercial radio stations are trying to create a community because they realize, there's like-minded people that tune into non-commercial radio. They're not mainstream. They want things that are a little bit different. So they're starting to have like wine tastings and, artisan beer nights at different places, or they will create events like going on an Anderson bus tour of the Finger Lake region of New York, or a trip to Toronto to see a play, or going to Cleveland for some ballet thing. So they try to get people to be more of a community together. They hold events, they hold the kind of events that their demographic really likes, like those fine arts things. Trips to the Chautauqua Institute, woohoo! But, no, that's great fun, I gotta tell you, that right there, Chautauqua, that's Disneyland for liberal intellectuals right there. You go there, you don't ever want to leave if you're a liberal intellectual. You're like, can't the whole world just be like this forever? But it can't. Anyway, it is fun. But anyway, they try to create these events and for their members, and also the trips that they organize, sometimes they make a profit from. So if they're working with like a travel company or something, they may share in the profit from that. So they get grants too, I talked about that, and sometimes they're federal grants, but it used to be that public radio and public television got a large portion of their funding from the federal government. And over the decades, over the last couple of decades, that's shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and it's shrunk down to like in the single digits of 1% now, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's really low, like 8% of their total overall budget funding comes from the federal government when it used to be like 80%. And I'm not saying that is the actual number. But I know it's less than 10%. It's like in the single digits, and it was a very big part of its funding before. So that's been cut back a lot, and they've had to make up for it by having these crazy fund drives. But in a way, it's a good thing, because who's really steering the ship then? It's not the federal government, right? We can't be called, like, non-commercial radio, if it's not getting a lot of funding from the federal government, can't be called state radio or state television, right? You can't do that to a public media broadcast or outlet if they are not getting a lot of funding from you. They're not in your pocket. So, really, who are they accountable to? They're accountable to the listeners and the community that they're trying to make. And I think that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. little more consumer driven, a little more democratic in that way too. So that's pretty much what the expenses and the income are for radio. Now there are some career things that I want to talk about. I don't need to go through all of that. We've done that. I kind of touched on this a little bit before, but the whole concept of becoming a star as a radio talent, that's like winning the lottery. People who do radio broadcasting do it mostly because they love doing it and they get paid to do it and they get paid decently to do it, but they're not gonna become famous. Everybody isn't Ryan Seacrest or Howard Stern, and so those things don't happen often. Also remember, talent is disposable, or at least they're considered that way by management a lot of times. If the format changes or taste change, or they get a little bit of negative feedback about an on-air host, boom kaboom, they're gone. So that's something else to consider too. In media production, media broadcast production outlets like a television station or a radio station, small radio network maybe like what Joe Vilke has, but even the bigger ones like CBS, where KDKA is affiliated with them, and there's jobs within that organization that pay better than others. So obviously the more responsibility for oversight you have, the bigger your paycheck's going to be. So if you're the general manager or the owner operator, if you are the president or the CEO, you're obviously going to make top tier money. The next place that good salaries can be found in this kind of media broadcast company is in sales. In and of itself, just sales, right? Getting advertisers and getting underwriters. So outreach and advancement is what it would be for non-commercial radio, but sales and marketing is what it is in a commercial radio station. That's the next place where you can make really good money. So if you like kind of the energy of, being involved in media production, and you have a flair for sales and talking to people and stuff, it's a good job for you to think about. Still have to understand all the things about advertising and marketing that you would have to know for working for any other company that you would advertise and bring advertising into for them. But it's a fun job to have. And then another really high-paying occupation within broadcasting is the engineer, right? The technicians, that not just the guys that run the cameras or that kind of thing, or do the lighting, but the ones that are involved in production and keeping. So production's very important, and also keeping the station on the air, keeping all of the equipment running smoothly, interfacing it with IT technology, right? Making sure that the broadcast stuff is working well with the digital stuff, reprogramming things, keeping up to FCC spec demands. That's another place where you can make a lot of money within this. Not to say that you can't make a living as an on-air host, but if what you want to be is an on-air host in all markets, it doesn't matter, big or small, you should also have something else to be able to bring to the table for that organization. You should be able to write copy. You should be willing to do voice work, for commercials and other projects. You should be able to, help with sales maybe, or do music programming, or just being, maybe you're on the air as a DJ, but you're also pulling the sports news together, or going out into the field to do sports broadcasting with the station. Joe Vilke's group does a lot of that. They will have Chuck Stopp, who's on-air host on the weekends, also does a lot of their high school and college sports. So that's something to think about in terms of the occupations for being in this line of work. You can make money, and it can be lucrative, and you can get some notoriety and be a celebrity in your own right as a radio DJ too. But again, that's the most precarious of all of the positions within the whole field of radio broadcasting. So there was something here I wanted to show you guys. One of the things I had said before, and you guys know, like I talked about it with the music festival, one of the things that was important at that time and is always important to a radio station is to have a high profile in the community. Right now, during the coronavirus outbreak here in Crawford County, like again, I am promoting Joe Vilke a whole lot. But it's someone I'm hearing, I'm getting a lot of content from, and he's making his media outlet is making a big impact on our community right now, because he's changed his programming to include a lot of public service about the virus and how not to get it and how to practice social distancing and why we're doing it. He's updating the community all day, every day about who is or isn't sick with it in Western Pennsylvania, how many people, what businesses are opened or closed at this time because of all of this craziness. So he's stepped up and done an amazing job for our community, and that's the power of local radio. Especially it's times like these where when we've had a hurricane or a tornado or some other kind of disaster, that local radio really comes in handy. Anyway, everybody has to do these promotional things where they brand their station and have a high profile so that people know where to go for local news and information. And just also you could attract better advertising money, and the more listeners you have. So you want to promote your station in different ways. And radio stations like to have these fun events. So one of the things I have for you guys on, well, it's a thing I want you to do your forum about, is an episode of WKRP in Cincinnati. It's the first episode. It's actually the pilot episode where the station's changing format, because it has a lot to do with the business of radio and what radio economics is all about. But and it's also fun to watch. But there's another little clip from WKRP in Cincinnati. It's the holidays. It's Thanksgiving. And Mr. Carlson, who is like the CEO of the radio station, his mother actually owns it, but he's like, the head of the radio station, general manager guy. He is feeling left out because new program director Andy Travis is making his mark on the radio station and really like coming up with these great ideas, and the listenership isn't, and so he's kind of feeling like useless, like he's not really relevant anymore. So he wants to come up with the promotion for a Thanksgiving giveaway for this station, and they're going to give away turkeys. So he's got this really great idea about how to give away turkeys, and it doesn't exactly work out the way he hoped it would. And it's kind of a lesson in stick to doing what you know and let the people who know what they're doing about those sorts of things do it.
All right, fellow babies, and now it's time to go to our live remote man on the scene at the Pinedale Shopping Mall for the big WKRP turkey giveaway. So, take it away, Les Nessman.
This is Les Nessman, your man on the scene here at the Pinedale Shopping Center, where the excitement is mounting. We're here to witness the big WKRP Turkey Thanksgiving giveaway.
Hey, you got permission to be out here?
What?
You're blocking my store here, buddy.
Don't you know who I am, huh? I'm Les Nessman. I won the Buckeye Newsbuck Award last year.
Good for you, Buckeye. Now get out of my doorway.
I'm sorry. Creep?
So far, so good, huh?
I gather hundreds of people who have gathered to witness what has been described as perhaps the greatest turkey event in moments, there are going to be a lot of happy people out here. Now, the crowd is curious, but well behaved. And I think I hear something now. The crowd is moving out into the parking area. And, oh yes, I can see it now. It's a helicopter. And it's coming this way. A helicopter. It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner. And it says, Happy Thanks Giving. W? What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The helicopter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object, perhaps a skydiver, plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet in the air. Second to the third. So no parachutes yet.
Happy skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but...
Oh my God, they're turkeys!
Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes. Right under the windshield of my car.
Everyone's running around pushing each other. Oh my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. I don't know how much longer the drivers are running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this anymore. No, I can't go in there.
Children are searching for their mothers, and not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd...
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. You just tuned in. The Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkeys. Film at 11.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
So that's his answer to the whole debacle there, is God is his witness. He thought turkeys could fly. His whole promotional scheme backfired on him, and the lesson he learned from all of that was let promotional people do their work. A good manager hires good people and gets out of their way. And I think that's a good lesson for radio. It's a good lesson for leadership. And WKRP in Cincinnati is a funny show. If you're really bored, you should go to YouTube and just search it and binge watch it, because you'll like it. But anyway, at the very least, please watch what's on Moodle right now and do that assignment. Get in your back assignments. Remember, if you owe a show from last week, you have until tonight to get it done. Otherwise, it's a 0. And the next show, or whatever show you do submit starting tomorrow, goes to week 2. Everybody else that is caught up, remember that your new show is due on by Saturday, along with your show logs, please. Make sure those get submitted. If you have problems, you can hit up Megan. She is willing to video chat or talk with anybody who needs help getting things pulled together for Live 365. So thank you for that, Megan. And thinking about anything else that I might have left out. Get your work done. I think I nagged you enough about that. Well, alright, if I think about it, I'll email you guys. But if you need anything, email me, let me know. And let me know when you've got your playlist pulled together and I can review it. I don't know to review it if you don't tell me it's ready. Okay, it's part of the process. So, alright, everybody, have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you next Tuesday. But if you need anything, I'll respond to you as soon as I see your email. Alright, bye.